for a brief moment in time, and then you can change the channel. But the people that I lost, they're still gone tomorrow and the day after that. They're still missing faces at my birthday party. There's still empty seats at my dinner table.
Sprinklers? Are we going to get in trouble?
Oh, I'm gonna change my name.
So okay, so I'm getting some of your food out then.
Oh, thank you. I'll come and dish it up in a minute.
Yeah, no.
I'm just going to give everybody a few more minutes to get logged in and get situated, and then we'll get started. Okay, so I don't have anybody else waiting in line to hop in, but people can continue to join as they're available. If anybody would like to turn their video on, I would love to see everybody's faces and kind of make this feel a little bit more discussion oriented. I'm going to share something really quick on screen. I've got basically this roundtable. We kind of designed these to be pretty casual. With the mini databases roundtable here, I just want to give you kind of an overview, first of all, of what they are. And then I've invited Barb Anderson here from Roseville area, who is one of our leagues that is very actively using this product. And then she can kind of talk about how they use it as a league and say it in words that might make more sense to you because it's talking league to league versus me just talking about the product in general. So let me just share a quick little piece with everyone. So basically just kind of an overview of the mini databases. At the state level, we use a database product that allows us to manage all of our state members and all of our local leagues. We handle our donor payments through it. Any kind of, for the state units that we also manage, we handle all of their member dues. All of our communications that come out, like all member news, all of the convention emails, all of those are done within this same system and product. So basically what we wanted to do is offer to local leagues the chance to kind of break off a small piece of this database. We just call them mini databases, so that you can also take advantage of what this product has to offer. Some of our goals in kind of offering this product to everybody is to help local leagues build a sustainable long-term organization, and also as that connects statewide, to make it easier for members of the public to join a league at the local level, and then overall to just preserve our institutional knowledge and to aid in succession planning. Having all of this information in a database makes it easier for membership chairs and local league leadership to pass that knowledge on to the people that follow them versus, oh, well, somebody had it in a spreadsheet and I think it was on their laptop and now we don't know where that information went. So this kind of keeps it all in one place and makes it easy to move down the line. Some benefits to kind of talk about here is the roster data becomes standardized. So that means that local leagues and us at the state level have the same up-to-date information, because as you are entering members into your database, you are marking them active or inactive, you are indicating, you know, things about their profile, then I have access to all of that same information as well. And so I always know that these active members, inactive members, what's happening. It allows you to receive important, like that your local league members receive important communications, both from us and from your local league. So again, like the example of all member news or any of the other email communications that we send out, all of that is integrated into this product. So it also helps you send out communications in a timely manner to your members and to keep the look consistent. It'll streamline your data entry for whoever in your league does work with your rosters or work with your membership. It'll help you collect funds for donations, member dues, event fees. If you have a registration fee for a meeting like convention, when everybody first registered as a delegate, that form that you went through that collected your $25 fee, that was all through our database product. So you can easily set up those things. You won't have to fill out our member update or officer change forms anymore that we do at the state level, which right now is the only way that we know that things have changed at the local level. If you're already managing that in your mini database, then we'll automatically see it as well. This product is free to local leagues because we at the state level already pay the fee for the product. We're just creating little offshoots for local leagues. So basically what you get would be a mini database for your local league, a customized online join form. So it'll have your local league logo, your membership tiers, and your pricing. We do an in-person training and setup by me in this case. And then there's also some optional add-ons that we can include, which are the ones that I just kind of talked about. So we can do a contribution and a donation form in addition to a join form. The Power Mail Communications is the email product that's built in. And we can also add on a meeting and event calendar. So if you've ever been on the state website and have looked at our state events calendar, all of that is managed by this same database product. So I will just leave that on screen for a few more minutes. But now I wanted to just give Barb the floor for a few minutes and to just kind of talk about Roseville area's use of the product, how they're using it, what works well, and how they might recommend that other local leagues take advantage.
Thanks, Kristin. Interesting is I wasn't aware of the meeting and event calendar. So I'm going to look into that. That's an interesting option.
Yes, like when you're ready to look at that, just let me know because I'll have to enable it for your account and then I can walk you through how it works.
Okay, thank you. We started implementing this about 2 years ago, and we started from scratch. And the way we're using it now is to maintain our member database, and also then we use it to send out emails to members as their membership is expiring. So we track it that way. And we've also used it for donations and for paying dues, as well as paid events. And the nice thing, one of the nice things about it is once you set up an event or a donation, or you can go in and duplicate it. So you don't have to rebuild the wheel every time you want to have a new event. Is you can use the one that you had before as a template and then just make changes to it. And we found that really helpful. This summer we're having, I think the 4th event that we've had collecting payments for. We're going to have our first in-person meeting, a social. And so people could order box lunches, and I set up a selection so they've got choices and they indicate what their choice is, and then they can make a payment and say they're either paying by check or paying via PayPal, and then that automatically gets recorded and sent to us. So it's in the database right away. And the nice thing too is then there's easy reports to get, so you can find out who has signed up for what and if they've paid or not. There's so many different options on the database for doing things. It's almost mind-boggling. The nice thing is that there are a lot of tutorials, both live ones and recorded ones. So if you want to find out more about something, you're not sure you want to do it. First of all, Kristin is just a wealth of information, and she's so generous with her expertise and her time. But also it's just kind of fun to play around and see what you can do in there. The thing we're not using very much is the Power Mail. We haven't transferred our newsletters yet or to go through that. But we are using it, as I said before, to send out notifications of expiring memberships. So that aspect we are using, and it's real easy once you've got your initial one set up to go in and change the wording, update it for a particular year, or have it be from, when the president changes, you can easily change the letter and the signature on it to match. So I think those are the main ways that we're using it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Barb. That was really helpful to know. For all of the rest of you who are here and are curious about this product, my question for you is, at your local league level, what are your biggest challenges right now in terms of managing your membership, communicating with your membership, those kinds of things, or what was it that made you curious to learn more about this product today? I'd like to just kind of make a list of those things and see if this product would be a fit for that. And if so, then I can reach out to you further after this and we can chat more about it. Sure, just jump in if you have.
One of our biggest challenges is that we have a membership chair, we have a treasurer, and we have somebody that a lot of people like to send their money to and tell them they're going to join. And the communication between the three causes problems when it comes. We had a couple of people end up having to double pay. We had a couple of people that didn't pay, but were on our roster and things like that. So the lack of communication is a big problem that it sounds like this would be able to address.
Yeah, having a centralized place where you have one member profile, you can look at it at any time and see have they paid, how they paid, when they paid, all that information in one spot.
And it helps people to be able to coordinate, because our treasurer, our membership chair, everyone who needs to has access to the same information. So I think the biggest thing for us when we changed is the database. We never were sure. We had a mailing list for one thing, and we had the database manager, and then we also have a directory, and that's separate but still uses supposedly the same information. And just having things in 3 places, it was so hard to coordinate the information, and this has just made it so much easier.
Great.
Yes, so we just started using this in Rochester, and we did it because heard from a lot of people that they wanted to be able to pay not via check and to be able to join online. So actually we've been waiting for this option for a very long time. I'm really happy that it worked. We haven't had a lot of people. Well, we've just started advertising it. So it mostly the people who have joined this way are our board members. But we're going to be using it, and as we get more in-person events that can have, we can charge, we'll be using that. I guess though the reason I'm here is since we just started, the only thing that we have done is the membership. And I was just wondering again, with the Power Mail and the other one, I can't even remember now, meeting and calendar, if anyone had used it, and because we're starting to look at, is that something that we wanted to add? But so far it has been good, and the support has been good, and just again, it has really added so far to what we want to accomplish as a league.
Great. Anyone else?
I was kind of wondering how the calendar works. Obviously not all the members of the league have access to this database, I assume. Otherwise you'd have too many people manipulating it. But so how does that get published, or how would anyone be aware of what's on that calendar? As far as your total membership goes.
Well, let me answer your first question first. So in terms of access to your local league's version of the database, you would choose whoever you want on your leadership team usually to have access to it. Usually it's a couple people, sometimes 3. It varies by league and what everyone's roles are, but that is up for you to decide. The second question about the events is once you create events in the database, you link that section of the database with your website, and I can help you with that. And then it just, every time you create a new event, it'll just push it out to your website automatically. So again, the example that I used was on the state website. If you ever look at the events calendar, all of those items that are listed there are in our database, and it just gets pushed automatically. It's just a live update.
Okay, that's good.
Go ahead, Mary.
You kind of answered my question. We're using a Google Calendar right now. We use the Google account that the state league set up, and we have everything on there. Would this database calendar, would we be restricted to using just like events, or could it be sort of our overall calendar with our meetings, board meetings and things like that?
Yeah.
It can be anything. In fact, the terminology in the database product just calls that module meetings, but it's for any type of organized, timed, dated event. So it could be for your board meetings, member meetings, a picnic you're doing, a voter registration event, a candidate forum, anything that you need to schedule and wanted to have displayed on a calendar on a particular day and time could go in this section.
And that will integrate, like we have a Wix website that would integrate with that just
Mhm.
as easily as, okay.
Yep, and there should be no problem with that. Actually, let me just bring this up real quick because I feel like sometimes it's helpful to just have a visual. Okay. Okay. Oops. Let me try that again. Okay, so here's the state website. So I'm sure you've all looked at all the different events that are out here. So there's a couple different kind of cool modules that this calendar does. First, let me address your question of, will it integrate with the Wix website? Yes, because this entire calendar module is just a piece of code that just gets kind of plunked into a web page. So you can put it anywhere on your website you want, on any page. It's like one line of code that inserts it. And then behind the scenes, all of the rest of this stuff is powered by the database. So in this particular case, we have 4 events that are out here. You can click through to a particular event and read the description, date, time, address. There's all sorts of different fields that you can add for an event. If I go back to the main page here, it also offers a little like viewable calendar mode, which is really handy sometimes. And anytime there's a shaded day, that means that there's something scheduled for that date. So sometimes it's helpful to just look at, I mean, there's not a lot out here now because we're just kind of just now starting to have in-person events and stuff again. But in past years, when especially during like a voter service season, when we have candidate forums, sometimes it was helpful to look out a couple months and be like, okay, what is like, where's the density of appointments happening? And so that's easy to see with the little like viewable calendar option. Then you can kind of customize these things a little bit, but we offer basically 4 different types of meetings of things that are postable out here under these 4 categories, with different kinds of activities as sort of like a sub category.
Now, if we posted something, say, on a calendar that we were using on our website, would that automatically then be entered in the state events calendar?
Unfortunately, no, because that's a great question, because each local league's database becomes a separate self-contained entity in the overall system that we use. So they aren't actually integrated at that level. That would be nice if they did, but I think that in the back end, that's more complicated than it would otherwise seem. And then the last kind of search option here that you can do is, and again, this is probably more helpful when we are doing things like candidate forums, but this little drop down of cities in Minnesota, or searching by zip code or keyword, helps people find things that are close to their community or things that they might be interested in. So there's a couple other different calendar features that can be enabled. This is just the options that we chose for the state level. We didn't want to have too many things going on. But this is what that events function looks like to the public facing side.
So if we want to get something like, well, obviously candidate forms, but again, if there's another program that we want to get onto the state's website, since you have us all listed, how do we do that?
Right now, adding events to our calendar is located on our member resources page. It's down under league admin. Oh, sorry, it's under events. So right here. So submitting an event to our state calendar is right here. And what it is just a little Google form. And it just kind of asks basically all the information that I would need to know to put into the database. So you're just answering all those questions for me, and then we're just kind of copying and pasting. And then we publish that to the state calendar. Are there any other leagues that want to share what their challenges are or hopes or the things that they would like to see fixed in terms of membership payments, dues, donors, communications, anything like that? Okay, I don't see any takers for that. So I guess what I would say at this point is if nobody has any other questions about the database for me, or really anything at all since I'm here, then what I would invite you to do is, if you're interested in moving forward with a mini database, or at least learning more about it, to just email me. My email address is ksmith@lwvmn.org. And we can start a conversation about it. I can answer specific questions or let you know if this product in particular is something that's going to solve what you're looking for or not. And if so, then I can make a different recommendation for you. But other than that, that was pretty much the focus of the roundtable today, was just to introduce the product and to answer any questions, and to see and to invite that if you had more interest, to chat with me further about it.
Me.
I'll sign you up right now, Mary.
Well, I, I guess I have a question really about the communications part. How does this assist communications?
Okay, so that's another great question. Thank you for asking that. So the communications tool that is built into this database, it's a product called PowerMail. That's not really relevant in the sense that it means something to you, but when I say that word, you'll know what I'm referring to. So what you can do is there's templates that I can help you set up, or you can set up your own, and you can compose your message just like you normally would, your newsletter, your emails to members, however those are. What's nice about having that integrated with the database is that since your membership is already loaded into the database, say you want to only send to people on your voter service committee, or maybe just in your finance committee, or whatever like local committees you've established within your membership, you can target that information pulling a query out of the database. So for example, we have at the state level, we do president's calls, we do voter service calls, we do the advocacy and action team calls. All of those people have something coded into their individual profile that lets me pull that on a search. So I can go to the database and say, give me everybody who's a president or vice president from a league. Boom. Then I can say, now send that email that I just composed just to those search results. And so that's how we do it at the state level. So like our all member news, I pull up a list of saying, give me all active members. Now send this all member news to those people. Because the thing is you don't necessarily, the reason why this is more powerful than having a mailing list is because that information changes over time and sometimes frequently. The local league presidents aren't always the same person. So I can't just have a mailing list of local league presidents. That could change every other month. And sometimes it does, depending on when leagues renew their membership and change their leadership over. And so it's more important to have somebody coded as a president versus having a static mailing list, if that makes sense. So the same thing with all of the different committees, or pulling a search of people who just joined within the last year, maybe. And maybe you want to send a message just to those people and say, hey, you are new members of the league. We're going to do a cool like member recognition thing, or a member introduction thing, and it's a picnic or whatever it is. Then you can just target those people with that communication. And so that's sort of the power of having a database behind that kind of a product, is you can really customize and target your communications to different things, and not having static lists of, well, this was last month, these are the people we sent this message to, but those roles may have changed since then.
Okay, so I guess I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
So let's say you have 3 people who have access to this database. Let's say you have your membership chair, your president, and your treasurer, or something like that.
Mhm.
If they identify a group that they want to send an email to, how does the people receiving it know? I mean, I guess, what is the connection to the email that would let the people know who's sending this from their league?
You can
Or is it just
configure
a
that.
topic?
You can configure that on an as needed basis. So anytime I go in to send out an email to whatever it is, any particular committee, party, group, I can set the name that shows who it's coming from and the email address who it's coming from. I can change that every time I send a message. So whether or not you're using an existing template to send those messages, you can change, maybe one day it comes from Barb and the next day it comes from Joan. And then the third day it comes from somebody else. You can change that each time you send it out. And so that way people will know, oh, okay, this is Barb emailing this, or this is Joan emailing this, whatever it is. And it can also have their email address as the sender. So if anybody responds with a question, it goes right to that person and not into some bucket somewhere that nobody's monitoring.
Okay, that is fabulous because, you know, we get so many emails these days and I just kind of scoot down them in many cases. And if I don't recognize the name and I don't recognize the subject line, I'll just delete it before, you know, without even opening it up.
Right.
So this is very helpful to think that it can be individualized like that.
Yes. In fact, the other kind of fun thing about this communication tool is that it's a visual editor. So even though you can load images and graphics into it and create your own template, you're not coding anything. You're not digging around underneath the hood with anything. It's very visual. So I was actually going to show you kind of what the product looks like since you were asking. So let me share this instead.
So this could replace MailChimp, for example. I just got a MailChimp thing set up for our president to use, and now maybe she won't
Exactly.
need it.
Yes, this is actually very similar to MailChimp. It's just the advantage with this, it would be directly connected to your member database. So that's why this would be, okay, here we go. So let me share this instead. So here I am logged into the state database. Let me just adjust my windows here a little bit. So basically what you're looking at now is a preview. This was the welcome convention email that I sent out yesterday morning. So the kind of options that you have here, and this is addressing the question, let's see. This was the question. I'm sorry, I have to make recipients bigger so I can see who that was. Whoever asked that question, I'm sorry, about who the message is coming from. So if you look here, the sender of this message was LWV Minnesota, and the email address that we want to show is info@lwbmn.org. So these are when I said that you can customize this every time you send a message, this is where you would put that information. So maybe you wanted this to come from Mary instead. So you would just put a different data point in there. I'm going to leave this as LWV Minnesota for now. Then you move on to designing of the message. So I'll let this load for a sec here. So this is what the actual tool looks like. So you can see you kind of get all these options over here on the right side. There's different kinds of rows and columns that you can put in here. So for example, like where I do a number 1 and then have some text floating on the side of it, that was this option. So I have a small graphic and then a bigger text over here.
Wow.
And so everything's kind of click and drag. So you grab what you want and it kind of shows you where you would be putting that item. And then we go back over to add some content. And I say, I want to throw an image in here. I want to throw some text in here. Start typing. So it's very easy to use. There's lots of customization options. You can do lots of different kinds of layouts. You can do any kind of colors you want. It's everything.
So it's almost even drafting in a sense, or composing. It's like a word processor kind of thing.
It is. It's very much like that. And I'm very glad that they created it that way.
It's so powerful. It's hard to call it a mini.
Well, it's only mini because you just have a small piece of our overall product. And then the other nice thing too about Power Mails, and this is something that's always kind of fun to share with members because they don't realize that we maybe know this information, but this is the result of me, the results of me sending out this message. So you can see here that I sent it to 216 people. Only 180 people opened it. And I can see who opened it. I can also see who did not open it. So when somebody calls and they have a question for me and I say, did you get the email? And they're like, yeah. Well, did you open it? No. Well, maybe the question that you need answered is in that email. So anyways, so it gives you a lot of important information and metrics about messages that you send out, which is actually helpful in a lot of different cases. It's tracking what people are clicking on, who's clicking on what, so that we know like, oh, okay, we sent out like, for example, something in all member news and 400 people clicked on one thing, it's like, okay, we have a lot of interest in whatever this particular thing is. And so we use that to kind of build forward things that, we want people to open our emails. We want people to click on things. So this is a useful metric to help us figure out what works. But that's a cool thing that I don't know if MailChimp offers, I think they have some basic stats anyway, but this is something.
Especially the free account doesn't have much.
Okay, good to know. But you for sure wouldn't get this data if you just sent out an email to a bunch of people in your league. You wouldn't even know if they received it or opened it or anything. So that's another nice thing about having a built-in tool like this is it tracks all of that for you.
So like on my voter service team, I have, most of them are members, but we have community partners and things like that. And so they are not in the database. Is there a way to use this tool to include non-members?
Yes, you can create a profile for anybody that you would like. So if you want to put your community partners and vendors in there, I would probably just say there may be something that we can either set up or decide on that gives you some kind of a flag in their profile so that you can mark it as something. Like before my example of, is somebody a president? Are they a treasurer? Are they a secretary? Like those kinds of flags are then things that you can search on later. So it's fine if you want to just set up a profile for somebody, but if you're not going to tag it with anything, it may not be all that useful for you in the long run because you aren't going to be able to pull it up on a search of some kind. Like if you wanted to send an email to all of your community partners, if it wasn't flagged as a community partner, then the search wouldn't know that you meant that person or that organization. So that would just be something for us to look at, and we can certainly chat about that offline, about how best to do that once you enter their profiles.
Kristin, can I ask about how you enter the data in the first place? I mean, what's the process to go through that and how long does that take and that kind of thing?
Sure. I'm trying to think of like how much, like I can at least show you, like if we said add a contact. So here's kind of the imported information that you see. Entering their name, obviously, all of their kind of contact information, address, phone number, email, website. In this particular case, your screen may end up looking a little different. This is the account that I see for our overall account. So for example, if I was entering a new member in here, I would put all their contact information in here. I would choose their local league. If they're part of the leadership, here are those kind of flags I was talking about. So I know how to search for people. We have a volunteer interests category. So there's those that are things that you can track too, which is also helpful and is another flag that you can search to mail people on. So in this case, if I had a bunch of people that were really interested in canvassing or door knocking, I could search for those people and then send them just a targeted email just to that group. We don't really use constituent code, but well, some of them we do. But there's you can see that there's lots of things in here. Membership, whether it's active or inactive. You can track gender, the join date, when their membership expires, whether it's okay to email them, whether it's okay to postal mail them, whether it's okay to call them. And then this is also helpful too, this congressional district, Senate, House, and county. This actually populates automatically. This is one of the features of this database product, is that once you create a profile for somebody, it automatically puts that in there. So if you want to be able to pull a report and say, how many people are in X congressional district, whatever it is, then you can do that. We have not really utilized that feature much at the state level because we don't have a lot of communications that are targeted just at specific districts. But I think the only time we've probably ever used it is if there's some big event happening in a particular district, maybe like a super contested race or something like that, then we could send, and maybe there's like a high profile candidate forum going on in that area. We can pull that information, like search for those people in the database, send an email and just say, FYI, we know this is like a really hotly contested race in your district. Here's a forum that's going on at this date and time. And then we can send them the information that way. So it is useful. We don't use it a whole lot at the state level, but at the local level, that may be more or less useful. I'm not sure. but that's pretty much the kind of the basics of what you're entering in a profile. There is also a way, I believe, when you first establish the mini database account for your local league, that I could get a spreadsheet from you of your current roster and then import that into the database. That's something that our vendor would do for us. So at least you're not having to say, oh, okay, I have 150 members in my league. Are you expecting me to sit here and enter all these people one by one? And so, no, we're not. And so we can import, do like one mass import at the beginning. And then from there, you probably would still have to kind of go into each profile and set what parameters you want for that person. Again, if they're leadership, if they're on a committee, if they have a particular volunteer interest, that information probably isn't going to import, but at least their name, address, contact information, things like that would. And then you could build it out from there. And, you know, it does take a little bit of time to get that started, but once it's established, from that point on, you're just maintaining. So it's all kind of downhill from there.
And Kristin, you might want to point out that if people join from your website, join online, they're actually filling out their personal information.
Yep. And the nice thing, yes, that excellent point, that the same thing at the state level, if somebody goes to our website and decides to join as a state member, that information that they type into that join form is directly linked to our database. So in effect, they're creating their own profile by joining. And then I get a notification that so-and-so has filled out your join form. They are now a member of the database. And I can then contact them, reach out to them individually and see, especially in the case of like at-large members or state members, to see, did you mean to be a state member or did you really mean to be a member of a local league? And so I sort that out. But yes, it's very helpful that those forms, because they're created as a component of this database, the information that's entered into them then populates in reverse. The other thing too, when we were talking earlier about the join forms or even a donation form, again, we have both of those on the state website as well. Any of those payments that are processed via those forms also notify you in this product as well. And so you can see when you're doing your membership drive or you're working in your dues period, anybody who's renewing their dues by filling out your form, those payments will link with their profile in this product, and you'll be able to see them as they come in and be able to say, oh, look, this person paid. Okay, let's process that. Let's post that, whatever. And so that's also really nice too, that I forget earlier when we were talking about, oh, well, somebody sends the check to this person, but it's not actually the treasurer. And so this person doesn't know like what's happening. This would really centralize all of that, and it automates a lot of it.
And another thing you can do is ask to have the acknowledgement email sent to a second party. So first of all, it'll go back to whatever email you've designated, but you can also have a copy of the same email sent to another person of your choice.
Right. And in addition to the person joining or donating money, so the first message that's set up is a thank you for donating, and it has a little summary of their donation and anything that they typed in, if it was an honorarium or if it was for something in particular. So it first acknowledges the person filling out the form. And then as Barb just said, you can then direct that message to go to one or more people so that when it happens, people get messages for it, and it's like, oh, look, we just got a donation of this amount from this person, and instantly those people are all notified.
Well, like so many things, there's a little bit of a learning curve, and particularly in how useful it can be. But when you get finished with it, it's marvelous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true.
It saves you so much time and confusion on the other end.
Yes, it does. And this product, it does a lot of things, and it is fairly complex when you first put your eyes on it. But once you get kind of used to working with it and realize that it offers a lot of things because it can, it doesn't mean you need to use all of those things. So if you just kind of focus and say, okay, that's fine. I realize it does 100 things, but I just want to do 2 things right now. Just focus in on that and, build the membership database out and get people in there. And then you can slowly add on these other things. And so that's why I called in that little piece that I showed at the top of our roundtable where it was the add-ons. I don't necessarily recommend with starting with all of that at first. Like first step is just getting your members in here and learning to work with managing them as a membership database. Then you can add on a join form, and then those payments and information starts coming in automatically. And then you can add on the communications platform and then the meetings, and just kind of take it step by step, because it would be a lot to do it all at once. Any other questions? Okay, where are we at? We're at just about 12:30 here. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, then I don't see any reason why we can't wrap up early. And for sure, Mary, I'll reach out to you so we can start chatting about it. Anybody else want to start an offline conversation with me about this? Okay, well, you have my email address. It's also on the website if you didn't jot it down. You know how to find me, where to find me, and I'm happy to help answer questions or get you up and rolling with this, whatever degree you want to dip your toes in.
Great. Thank you, Kristin.
You're welcome.
Kristin.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Very excited about this. So we'll be in touch.
All right, great.
Thanks.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.